Hey guys, Nicolai here. In today's video, we'll be taking a look into whether or not Riot employees actually play League of Legends. And among other interesting things, we'll also be taking a look at if they're allowed to play League or other games during work, while their manager farts on them. But before we get into that, today's video is sponsored by our friends over at ProGuides. ProGuides is the #1 way to rank up, with courses exclusively made by pro players and the ability to talk to a pro anytime 24/7 with instant responses. Over 10,000 gamers have used InstaPro today and ranked up multiple divisions. On ProGuides, winning is guaranteed. Join over 1 million gamers and sign up with the first link in the description. Now with that being said, let's jump into the video. Office work. Working in an office can be one of the widest spectrums in the world. Some offices are absurdly strict and follow super specific rules. Other offices have very lax rules, where for the most part, anything goes.
Cock in the hen house.
Cocks in the hen house.
Don't say cocks.
Generally, this isn't a good thing. And from what we've seen, Riot Games sits somewhere closer to the latter, with frequent reports of uncomfortable working conditions, including sexism claims and managers farting on their employees. Yeah, this actually happened.
That actually includes the company's COO, Scott Gelb, who was suspended after reports that he, quote, repeatedly touched subordinates' balls or butt or farted in their faces. That's a legal document, huh?
But let's back up a little bit. A while back, I made a video titled, "Do League of Legends voice actors play the game?" where we discovered that, no, they kind of don't. On this video, I started unironically receiving comments saying, "Does Riot Games play the game?" And I touched on this topic before on a video titled "What rank are Riot employees?" where the answer to "Do Riot employees play League?" was kind of. Some did, some didn't, some were bad, and some were great. However, what got me to make this video today is more the question of whether or not Riot employees play the game during work. And how much do they play at work? Also, are they allowed to play other games at work? Well, surprisingly, I found the answer to all these questions. In most office scenarios, when you're working on a computer, usually the internet or the computer itself will have some sort of block stopping you from going to unnecessary websites, including blocking you from accessing video games. However, this is not the case at Riot Games. If you look into it, Riot does not hide the fact that they allow employees to play games at work. So instead of "Do Riot employees play League of Legends?" how about we ask, "Do Riot employees play too much League of Legends?" Check this out. This is Devin Nash, ex-CEO of Counter Logic Gaming. Seems like a cool guy, and he occasionally live streams on Twitch. And in one of these live streams, he spoke about the time that he went to visit Riot's offices, and he gave his viewers some insight of what it's like inside said offices. Take a look at these clips yourself.
Well, we have these LAN cafes that we build in Riot within the company. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, and then rioters play with other rioters. They play League of Legends on LAN after work or during work. Because at Riot Games, you never have to be caught working. I walk through Riot Games and it's this open workspace, and there's people playing Diablo 3, there's people grinding, there's like very little actual work going on because they claim to be results-based, but nobody actually tracks the KPIs. Anyway, so I said, okay, so there's LAN cafes. She goes, yeah, there's LAN cafes. And I said, okay, then what is it you do? And she goes, well, it's because we have 4,000 employees, I introduce teams to other teams at Riot, and then they play League of Legends against each other to increase workplace co-efficiency. And I'm like, do you do anything else? And she's like, no, that's my job. It's full-time. And I was like, holy shit. I would walk through these hallways, and then I'd stop at a random desk, and I would meet a person. And I'd be like, what do you do? And they would be like, well, I design champions, and I'm on a team of like 300 or 400 people. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. And I'm like, what champions have you designed? And they're like, well, I designed like the curvature of Draven's axe, and it took me 6 months.
I would say that he is most obviously exaggerating about the whole Draven's axe thing. But when you start getting older and getting into workspaces, you do start learning about people who are fully employed and borderline get paid to do nothing. And a company the size of Riot Games, which has over 3,000 employees, I wouldn't be surprised if there were employees who are employed, but their job is only necessary occasionally. So for the most part, they just sit around their desk playing video games. And hey, even on a Reddit post that was made linking these clips on the League of Legends subreddit, a user left a comment doubling down on what Devin said. For the people who think this is an exaggeration, I know 2 former employees of Riot when I worked for the indie game studio Grimbros. One of our marketing managers, Hunter, said that even though he was an accountant, people would just play League of Legends non-stop all day. Same thing from an artist, Randis Albion, who left the company because he said nobody was working, just playing the game. All of these comments were quite interesting, which led me to look up Riot Games on Glassdoor. Glassdoor is a service that allows verified employees to anonymously review where they work. Kind of like Yelp, but for jobs instead. Whether it's for McDonald's, Walmart, or Riot Games, every employee can leave their opinion. So, like I said, I went onto Glassdoor and lo and behold, some reviewers were proudly talking about how they were allowed to play video games during work. And not just League of Legends. This reviewer literally put in their pros from their pros and cons section: free food, free coffee, and lots of freedom to play video games at work. And so did this guy. And so did this guy. And this guy. And this guy. And this guy. And so did this guy. But not this guy. A Riot employee from the offices over at Dublin. This employee stated in the review that playing games, including League of Legends, was frowned upon by high management. They also left some advice to the management. The employee said, hire gamers at high-level managements. The people in charge are not gamers at all. But like I said, this seems to be a rarer exception.
And we mean seriously rare. This reviewer from Istanbul literally said, what you do with your working hours is no one's business. I think it's time I apply for a job at Riot.
Because for a perfect random example, a while back popular streamer Tyler1 did a video where he 1v1'd a Riot employee. Said employee was clearly playing at work, and in the background you can hear his coworkers celebrate when he wins the 1v1.
Let's go! Let's go, Tyler! Whoa! Hey, sit down, kid. Sit down. Sit down. Hey, you hear that? You hear that? I'll see you on Twitter, buddy. GG's.
Also, by the way, just personally, the most shocking part of that clip I showed you from Devin was when he mentioned that in Riot Games offices, there were employees playing games that weren't League of Legends.
And there's people playing Diablo 3, there's people grinding.
Apparently, if you don't have any assigned work at the moment, you could go ahead and play a game at your desk, and it doesn't have to be work related like League. It could even literally be your competitor, which I guess you can say that a Rioter can be playing Fortnite or Dota for research purposes. Which is a great segue to go into Teamfight Tactics. In the new game mode announcement post, Riot Games literally says, quote, folks around the office have been playing an insane amount of Dota auto chess, which of course created inspirations to make the TFT we have today.
Teamfight Tactics is pretty much the exact same thing as Dota Undertale, except with Duck Duck Goose and a dabbing penguin.
So to end off this video, do Riot employees play League of Legends? Yes. And perhaps the guy responsible for buffing your favorite champion and nerfing your least favorite champion is playing League of Legends right now instead of working. Oh wait, I almost forgot. While looking through the Glassdoor reviews, I found my most favorite review. It was entirely positive aside from their only con in their pros and cons section. Customers could often be very rude.
Overall, satisfied are you with the most recent updates and changes to League of Legends? Updated changes include any recently released content, for example, balance changes, new champion skins, gameplay system, modes, other gameplay changes, in addition to changes in the client or in-game. Thank you for asking. I'm going to politely say very unsatisfied. Extremely.